Hi guys, I'm so excited right now. I've been waiting for this day for many weeks, and here with me is Gavin Britto. He's an independent Salesforce consultant. Started out in Salesforce world like 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
4 years ago now, and I've known him for 2 years, and a lot of things have happened to him in the past just a year, and I'd like you guys to find out about it as well. So before we get started about the Salesforce career, how to get into the Salesforce world, hey Gavin, can you tell me about yourself? Can you tell me about particularly your Salesforce experience?
Certainly. So I got into Salesforce back in 2011 when the product was, when there was no Trailhead, there was no process builder. So I was brought in as a junior Java developer, and when I asked them, so what's the CRM system? What CRM system are you using? And they said it's Salesforce, and I said, okay, I haven't heard of that before, but I can't make a decision right now. Let me go home and I'll think about it, because I was offered the job on the day of my interview.
Yeah.
Because they were looking for someone junior, and they liked that I had worked at Walt Disney World CRM department.
Okay.
So it was a perfect transition. My knowledge of campaign management and business intelligence, all that came from my internship at Walt Disney World CRM department.
Awesome. This was right after your college?
Right after college.
First job?
First job with
Awesome.
Walt Disney World, implementing Siebel CRM for Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So went back home, looked at Salesforce. It looked like WordPress on steroids. It had neat point and click features for automating your campaigns. At the time, Salesforce had cookbooks which were very useful. You can download a cookbook and follow along, build a warehouse app, and it just got so addicting that I can build something and automate something without writing a single line of code.
And this was, and you had experience with Siebel, so you could compare the two.
Right. Yeah.
And this was superior.
Superior. With Siebel, you couldn't have gotten a cookbook and built something as fast as I did with Salesforce.
Got it.
And what was really neat was they were able to put me on projects, have me do billable work, and right away there was like very little need to train me on a programming language.
Yeah.
So for anyone out there, my advice is take advantage of tools like Trailhead, take advantage of people like me. There are others in your neighborhood who are willing to, they call themselves MVPs, who are willing to go out of their way to mentor you, and they are all over LinkedIn. If you search for Salesforce MVPs, there's actually a whole page of MVPs by region, and I'd be happy to share the URL on a footnote. But definitely there are sites called taprootplus.org, very useful site. They are constantly looking for Salesforce volunteer consultants at all levels, junior to senior. There's volunteermatch.org. Also, your local Salesforce nonprofit user group is very useful for getting your foot wet with the platform.
I know, Gavin, you've been helping a lot of people getting their foot in the Salesforce door, giving them the experience, paying some of them, even those who do well, even giving them a job. From your experience, from someone who's coming fresh, right? Maybe they don't have any programming background, but they have a lot of passion. What has helped them stand out? What are the common traits you see in people who have been able to jump into the Salesforce world really fast?
The common trait is the ability to say, I don't know, and I need to do my own research. If you are someone who is willing to admit that you don't know and you're willing to learn, that's definitely a strong trait for an individual to say, I don't know and I need to do my own research. Because Salesforce has the tools for you to get acquainted with the system. And the person who's willing to take that initiative and go on success.salesforce.com, ask questions, and there's a whole community of Salesforce MVPs and users in every time zone answering your questions. And also at the same time, take time to answer their questions, because there are once you get acquainted with the system, there'll be other newbies. You'll notice they'll be asking questions. Take the time to answer their questions, because all that goes towards your building your portfolio and your online presence. Because when a recruiter Googles you, you want them to find that profile. You want them to find your Trailhead account. You want them to find your success.salesforce.com, your Trailblazer account, more or less. You definitely want them to find you on LinkedIn, sharing articles and commenting about articles. When recruiters, when they see that you have written a blog post, for example, like my Salesforce blog post is salesforcegenie.net. Like if you want to learn about the projects that I'm working on and the insights that I gain from going to conferences, after every conference I write a blog post.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's very helpful. That's like it's a recap to you on what you learned from the conference, and it's also a good visibility builder to show your recruiter or to show your potential hiring manager that you are a proactive person and you're always looking for new innovative like you're up to date with the new releases.
Got it.
Like, and also read the release notes and write something about the release notes. That's also huge for your recruiters to know that you're not just some guy still on Classic, that you know what's out there on the Lightning platform. So it's very important to make your presence known on the web. Before you go to that interview, people should have already Googled you and found out who you are. That sets you apart from someone else who just sent in their resume and doesn't have online presence.
That's a great idea. That's recently when I had a Salesforce interview, I told them I create these Salesforce videos. You can Google me. I on technical questions, on career questions, and I think that has helped me as well.
Right.
When they Google me. But I haven't written any blog posts. But that's a good idea. Maybe I should write some blog posts too.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
When a person Googles you, only the title comes up, but
Correct.
the contents do not. So
Correct.
So blog posts are a good idea.
Yeah.
Gavin, you're an independent Salesforce consultant. You do work for like universities, cities, whoever needs to get something done. And you're looking for Salesforce talent, right?
Correct.
And when someone applies for a job for you, you of course Google for them, right? See
Right.
what they have done.
Certainly.
And that adds credibility to their resume.
Definitely.
So guys, go out and write something, share something interesting thing you've done or learned, create a YouTube video or answer those community questions, build your online Salesforce brand, or maybe write to Gavin. Maybe you guys can contribute to his blog post or blogs.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And Gavin, if someone would like to do some work for you, like he doesn't have Salesforce experience, but they would like to get the experience, what do you look for? How do you know if they're a good fit for you? How do you know that they're a person in whom you'd be investing a lot of? How do you know that they're someone who's worth your time?
Good question. One thing I definitely see is their Trailhead profile. I'm not too keen on the certifications because there's too many test banks out there that look identical to the certification.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you.
And yeah, like it doesn't take much to pass that exam once you've taken a few of these questions. Once you've studied the answers from the test bank, you can easily pass that certification.
Yeah, that's why I stopped also doing any more certification, because it became it's after a certain point.
Right. Yeah. So I started looking at their badges, and I'm surprised at how many have super badges now. Like they've completed all their trails and they've unlocked super badges and they've completed super badges. So one way that I see people who are worthy of working with me is I invite them. The way I find them is I invite them to Salesforce Saturdays. So on Saturdays we have both virtual and in-person meetings, and it all depends on people's schedule. If you tell me in advance and say, hey Gavin, can we do a virtual Salesforce Saturday? I always give them the option to dial in through Blue Jeans or through Zoom or through GoToMeeting. They have the option to dial in, and then we work on badges together. And we unlock badges, we unlock super badges. Super badges require a lot of hand holding. And if they are taking the effort and taking the initiative to come and dedicate part of their Saturday morning to do this, they are worthy of working with me.
And you hired people?
And I've hired people who've done these badges with me.
And those were like their first Salesforce job, right?
Yes, it was
and
their
some
first.
of them have done well.
They've done really well. And some of them, Adip Roka is working with the city of Baltimore. Wonderful success story. He had to take a lot of grueling jobs before he got there. Like he had to hear the word no a lot, and he had to go through a lot of recruiters who dropped the ball on him.
Oh really?
Yeah, but he didn't give up. He kept going, and that's the.
What's he doing right now?
Right now, he is a Salesforce Administrator for the city of Baltimore.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
And he started out with Gavin.
Yes.
When he had 0 certifications, 0 experience.
Right. We just met at the library.
Oh really?
The two of us. Yeah. I went on meetup.com and I created a Salesforce Saturday meetup, and I had 8 RSVPs. I was so happy. I went and I set up 8 chairs, and only Adip showed up.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I said, all right, we're gonna do Salesforce badges today.
And he's the one who's done the best.
Yes. Yes.
Good, good. Show up. That's
Show
the first
up.
step.
That's the first step.
To
Show
success.
up.
Yes, yes. It shows seriousness, right?
Yeah.
That they're able to prioritize their day,
Right.
their time, and want to invest their
Right.
Saturday morning
Right.
in the
Definitely.
learning Salesforce.
Definitely. Definitely.
What's the biggest challenge that newbies face when they're starting out with Salesforce? You worked with a lot of people through Salesforce Saturdays, through hiring, and through over these 7 years.
Right.
Like people who are not in Salesforce yet, but like they're trying to get. What's the biggest challenge
Right.
people face?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, I think it's more than anything, is their mindset. They struggle with feeling like they're good enough. So the newbies, they know they're good enough. I mean, some of the newbies I know have more badges than I do. They've invested so much time in their badges and their certification. They're still trying to get certified because they feel like they're not good enough. Like they have more certifications than I, they have more badges than I, but whenever I say, hey, there's this position that just opened up, it's a Salesforce Administrator position, they're like, oh, I need to get more certifications instead of just going for it.
So you suggest they just feel more confident?
Yeah, like because don't wait for things to be perfect to go for that interview. There's nothing wrong in being shut down. Look, like just like Adip Roka, there's nothing wrong in going for the interview and getting shut down, because with every interview you learn how to promote yourself better. Yeah. Everyone has a narrative, everyone has a story to tell, and you fine tune that story with every interview.
Yes, yes, I agree also that in a way we have to fake the confidence, yeah, because not maybe fake, but in a fake as in like you don't have experience, but you have to feel like you will resolve the issue.
Right. You got to win their trust enough that they are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. And the way to do it, I believe, is to tell them that, hey, I don't know this, but I'll Google it. Everything is in Google.
Everything is in Google.
So don't ask me questions, like don't put everything in question, like if I don't know something, like Google, like how many so-called queries can you make in a single operation?
Right,
like,
in a DML,
like,
yeah.
DML, yeah, like I feel like a lot of interviews ask you questions that you can just Google.
Google, yeah.
So why are you asking me questions if you can just Google, like?
Right. And sometimes if you can pull that off, you can straight away turn around and ask the interviewer that question. and say you're asking me questions that are already available in the documentation.
Exactly. I think what people
And-
should show, like, emphasize that there's someone who can go out and find it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I will go out and Google it.
Right.
I will read the cookbooks, the admin guides, whatever
Exactly.
it takes, and I'll resolve the issue.
Exactly.
That's what's most
yeah.
important, I feel,
And
right?
yeah, exactly. And never feel like you're stepping out of bounds
Yes.
when you turn around and put the ball back in the interviewer's court and say, those questions can be answered in the
Yes.
documentation.
Documentation,
Like, would you like to know more about the projects that I have completed?
Yes, yes,
Like, you can always turn around and ask the interviewer that question.
yes, yes.
Because-
And in addition to that, I think a person can say, if here's how I would solve it, yeah?
Yeah.
I would do this XXX. I don't know the answer, but here's how I would solve it.
Solve it. Exactly.
Right?
Instead of saying no, I don't know the answer, and then having that awkward pause in your interview, you might as well turn around and say, well, the answer for that, although I don't know the answer, here's one way I would here's one way I would use to solve your situation, or here's a situation that I face in a project and how I
Yes.
solve that.
Yes,
How
yes.
I solve that question.
Great, great. Yeah, depending on the interview, but from my experience, a lot of interviewers are not so knowledgeable about Salesforce.
Right.
Like, they are either like hiring managers or they're like
Right.
program managers, and,
Correct.
and they think you should know, you like Salesforce person, so you should know everything.
Everything. Yeah.
But the Salesforce world is like the universe, yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
as long as you know how to find it, you'll find it. I
Correct.
think, yeah?
Correct.
Even the best Salesforce developers,
Yes. Even the best Salesforce developers post questions on the success forum.
yeah, and they just Google everything, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I
Yes.
learned in Salesforce is that you have to just Google everything.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
How often do you Google in your job?
Every day.
Every day, right?
Every day. And I find questions answered on Stack Overflow.
Okay.
That's like a developer forum. Also, developers.salesforce.com has some good resources there as well. And I really appreciate the community who are outside the United States, because when you ask a question and you go to bed, most often than not, you have 5 answers when you wake up in the
Really?
morning. Because everyone in India and China and Australia are answering your questions. That's really neat, because when I was at Monumental, like I even told my boss, I said, look, I don't know the answer to this question. I made a post, I'll have the answer for you tomorrow morning, I can guarantee you that. and 99% of the time,
Really?
the answer was there in the morning.
Wow, that's amazing, right?
It's amazing, this community, and they don't want to get paid for it. They just do it because it is the culture of the Salesforce wolf pack, the Ohana.
Yeah. Gavin, what aspect of your job do you love the most?
Oh, that's a
What
deep.
makes you excited about Salesforce job?
Oh, that's a deep question. Let me think about that for a second. I absolutely love going in there, looking at a challenge that a customer is facing, and dissecting that and coming up with a way to automate or completely take that challenge out of their hands and have the system manage it. And it's amazing to see the the reaction in the customer's face when they see, like, what? There's the App Exchange product that does that? Like, yes, there's an App Exchange product that does that. And guess what? If you purchase the product, you don't have to pay me for my time. You just purchase the product and configure it. And most often than not, most App Exchange partners, they have a very affordable configuration one-time setup fee, and they set it up, and you don't always have to pay the sticker price. If you're a customer and you're looking for e-signing, call the DocuSign hotline. You can negotiate them down.
Really?
You never pay the sticker price. Yes, never pay the sticker
So
price.
losers pay the sticker price.
Yeah, losers pay the sticker price.
It's
Call
like a
them
car
up.
dealership, yeah? You go in.
Exactly. If you don't negotiate, you're just leaving money on the table.
Ah, wow, look, whoever is considering buying App Exchange products, talk to Gavin. Okay?
Yes.
He knows how to get good deals for
Yes,
you.
I'll teach you how to negotiate them down.
Wow, you can save a lot of money on each user per month, and over a year it'll build
Right.
up to a lot.
Right. My mom always said, my mom's a businesswoman, she still is. She just retired, but she still wants to. She doesn't want to sell a business. She always said everything in life is negotiable. So don't try that with your wife, but but everything in life is negotiable.
Wow, good tips. I didn't know that. I've been in Salesforce for like 3 years now. Like I thought, wow, those are big sticker prices. Like one of the things I like about these interviews or just doing sales YouTube videos is I learn a lot in the process myself. So now I'll know.
Definitely.
Even in Salesforce world, those prices are negotiable.
Oh, it's negotiable, definitely.
Cool. So what you love about your Salesforce job is that, or whatever you do in Salesforce, is that you're able to make your customers happy, like by helping them identify good App Exchange products or
custom build a solution if there isn't already one in the App Exchange. And what's really neat is if you custom build a solution that's not already on the App Exchange, guess what? Put it on the App Exchange. Yeah. That's another revenue stream. Like you don't want to leave money on the table. Like it's an ecosystem for you to give and to earn, right? As long as you're giving a valuable service, there are customers who are willing to pay for it, and you can start your own ISV, they call them ISV partnership, by putting it on the App Exchange. Of course, Salesforce takes 15%, which is a very reasonable.
Yes, better than Apple, right?
Better than Apple, yeah. Salesforce is very reasonable. They only take 15%. It's free marketing for you. Once your product has passed security review and it's on the App Exchange, it has already. There's no need to do any more marketing. Like Salesforce has already stamped their approval on your product as a ISV partner. And what's really neat is ISV partners get a Enterprise Edition org for really cheap, and they can install Enterprise Edition orgs for their customers at a very discounted rate too.
Really?
Yeah, if you're an ISV partner. So
are you an ISV partner?
Not yet. We have a product on the App Exchange. It should pass security review. It's a product for international student recruitment, for especially for managing the very arduous I-20 handling process for getting the I-20s to the international students and processing their initial F1 student visa. So like the product had there wasn't a similar product in the App Exchange, so we started running a pilot with Oral Roberts University. I actually got this idea while I was at Georgetown University working for them as a Salesforce Administrator, and then the idea there were too many pilots going on at Georgetown at the time, so we never got the opportunity to run it with Georgetown. But then when I pitched it to Oral Roberts University, they were in love with the idea.
And now they're using it.
And now, well, we're trying to get the integration working from Salesforce to the government's database. So that's the only thing. That's the only link that's missing right now. And of course, we're working with the U.S. government, so there's a ton of SSL certificates requirements. Also, the data can't come directly from Salesforce. The data has to go from Salesforce to the local school server, and then it has to go through a school server into the government's database. So we have trying to jump through all those hoops, and that's been the delay. But there's a reason why there aren't anybody else doing it, because it is a very involved integration.
So if you figure it out, it'll be very hard to someone jump in and try to repeat what you.
Exactly, it'll be really hard for someone to replicate that.
Wow, good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you get it. I hope you win some good contracts and you can hire a lot of people.
Definitely. We only look at projects that revolutionize the way people do business. Like even in school, in the education system, like at the end of the day, we are trying to create a workforce that would generate more business for everyone. So if we can help build that workforce by providing good solutions for the students to get in and out of school in due time and save the school a bunch of money in doing that, like we've served our corporate social responsibility.